What up? What up? What up? What up? I'm back. Back in the back in the
Back,
friendly confines of
back in a
Southern
New York
California.
groove. That was Ace. That was one of the Kiss guys, but it was
Oh,
like a
yeah.
solo. It was like a solo Ace Frehley. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
Drew's back. He's back from vacation, looking refreshed.
Am I?
I'm playing. I don't know. Playing homage to. Apparently, the Twins clinched the division. That's how much I pay
did
attention
they?
to baseball. Like, oh, good job, guys. We won something. We got a
They'll
banner
probably
hung up.
win their playoff series. They usually do, right?
That's usually how that goes. So, I guess I should have known this was coming because I had two really hot weeks, and not only just like my plays that I originated, but I mean props people were giving me, stuff I was tailing, second halves, everything was going good. Got my teeth kicked in today, pretty
Oh,
good.
really?
Just yeah, it's I had the teasers. What if Wong teasers don't do good? I'm not gonna have that great of a day.
Okay.
Early on, I didn't get my Washington total home, despite Buffalo scoring that many points.
Well, we team total secret pod.
Secret pod play team total
Rocking
in
chair,
Buffalo. That did get rocking chair. I did play a couple of team total unders in New York, the Jets and the Bears at like 17 and a half.
Jets team total under is an automatic.
I really thought I was going to log in.
we gotta talk about this game real quick, and I gotta give you I also gotta tell you I'm gonna be loopy as fuck on this show because I'm on 24 hours of travel. Got up in Zagreb at 3:30 in the morning local time. It is now 3:50 on Monday in Zagreb, and I have not slept.
So you know what happens in the second half.
I have not slept. I know what happens in the second half. But no, this game is it was weird and more entertaining than I thought it was going to be, I guess.
Honestly, that's my takeaway, Drew. It is much more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't looking forward to this as a standalone football night in America game, but see, it's been fun. There's a couple really good edge rushers that are getting after it. We've had a couple big plays. There's been more offense than I thought, but man, so the Steelers have 180 and the Raiders have 160, but you had two really big plays. You had the 72-yarder to Calvin Austin, and then the Devontae Adams one was like
Devontae
35
Adams
yards.
Is wrecking this secondary.
He's very good.
Yeah, I think the big question though we have to ask is how healthy is Jimmy Garoppolo? We made some jokes in the preseason that circle your calendar for week 3 on Sunday Night Football when TJ Watt ends Jimmy G's season. I thought that was happening as we saw it in real time, and the replay didn't look that much better either, but he popped up and he looked a little fresh.
Yeah.
The
initial thoughts, because of the pass rush getting home, the 2 long plays, I kind of wanted this under.
Yeah.
I thought it might be a titch high, so my initial thought here was the under.
Yeah. Do you want to isolate a team, or do you want to just take the?
I didn't know if you wanted to look at a team total. If you thought there was a team that was playing one way better or the other.
I think the Steelers are playing a more fragile offense, and if they find themselves in a negative game state at some point, which is very possible, because I believe the Raiders get the ball first. Is that right? Let's look this up. The Raiders will be receiving the ball first. If Jimmy G's out there and takes them on a little touchdowny drive, I could see this game tilting in their favor. I kind of want to just play Raiders second half as opposed to the under. I think they're basically the same bet, and you're insulating yourself from the Devontae Adams going nuke nuts. But if Brian Hoyer, if that's Brian Hoyer's music at any point in time, then Raiders second half is a DUD dud.
Yeah, I didn't really see any sort of update on Jimmy G. He got folded like a lawn chair, and he popped up a lot quicker than I thought he was going to. If you want the Raiders, you're going to get a better number because Kieran likes the Steelers and the Steelers money line.
Okay.
I'm
still already
stuck in
under
this
3,
under.
right? So
I'm guessing you probably can get a better number now.
Status alert: Jimmy Garoppolo leg headed to locker room Sunday. It's halftime, underdog.
Everybody's headed to the locker room. That's how this works.
And also, I mean, guy's made of glass, so he might miss time here. I would think it's more likely that we see him pop up on the injury report, and then surprisingly is like not available next week or something weird. That's kind of the way it goes with Jimmy G, more so than he gets knocked out of games. That's just my recollection.
It's like he finishes the game and then he misses 6 weeks.
That's usually how it goes.
That's usually how it goes. Now he's hurt.
Now, now that they've fully evaluated, he's effed.
Oh yeah, it's done. Season might be over at this point.
Yeah. All right. Well. Okay. What do you vote? You're more tuned into this. You were carrying the ship while I was gone.
I was. It's not like I had sound on in this game. I was taking injury notes for all the other games while I was watching this. But let's dive into the box score a little deeper before we pull a call here.
One fluky play by the Steelers is really propping up this total. But that's
it really is, and that's what I'm saying, because neither team has run the ball well. Obviously, you guys, Jaylen Warren is this year's Tony Pollard to the, Najee Harris hasn't been in the league, obviously, as long as Zeke, but everyone's calling for more Warren, less Harris. That's kind of what we're seeing. Warren's looked good in his limited runs, and Najee Harris has run 10 times for 28 yards. Oh. Josh Jacobs, I thought this would be a better game for him. He finally had maybe a decent game state, a decent matchup. Not 8 for 22. He hasn't looked good. Neither team is running the ball. So I wonder, too, if somebody is trying to salt us away late with the lead, they're not going to be able to do that as well. And, outside of the big plays, neither quarterback has – Jimmy's been the better quarterback, but that's just Jimmy. He's super efficient outside of the, obviously that pick. Both quarterbacks have thrown multiple balls that should have been picked.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a clear pick 6 that was just dropped.
Yeah.
It's like
that was just dropped.
I had to. My wife was a little invested in the Vikings game and was watching, and as whichever one Evans dropped that interception that turned out to be the game winner for the Chargers. And I had to explain to him, like, there's a saying about those guys, like, if they could catch the ball, they would be wide receivers. She thought that was clever. It's not my saying. This is a very old saying that everyone has said. Like, because that was a bad ball thrown by Justin Herbert, who had a pretty good day. And there's been some bad balls thrown in this one on both sides.
Yeah.
Average yards per play, both are right around 5.5. The Raiders have just been really shitty on third down, 2 for 7.
Yeah.
I'll let you make the call. You're back. The under's getting steamed. They're going to be at 21 soon.
Let's take
Obviously,
Raiders.
Pittsburgh got steamed a little here.
I think it's Raiders.
A little both.
I think it's Raiders.
Okay, I'm going to play a little Raiders. We'll make Raiders the play, but I'm going to make a little play on this under 21.5 too.
Okay. All right. I think this is a similar play. It's basically saying that the Steelers' offense is unsustainable. Like, think about how bad they were through 2 weeks, and we ascribe that to they played 2 of the best defenses in football, maybe the 2 best defenses in football back to back. And now they're playing the Raiders. Well, Max Crosby's getting home. Raiders' defense is a little better than I think we gave him credit for. And the Steelers don't look amazing. Like, this has been uneven. The running game is predictable. I don't love them in comeback mode.
This is the problem, Link. Like, Drew's been out of the country. I don't even know if he knows about the.
I don't know who Doug Heffernan is.
I made a pop culture reference to him in a DM, and I'm like, shit, do you even get this joke? Like, when we recorded that Wednesday podcast, I made reference to, if you guys remember, all the rumors of like FBI's and Peanut Tillman and that whole thing. Drew was checked out hiking around the Adriatic Sea, man. He didn't catch any of that. He just knew, like, oh, it's been a mess with. So I said something about the mess that the Bears have been today. He had no idea. After the show, he had to like DM me. He's like, oh man, he's like, I just caught up on all the Bear stuff. Did I say anything like insensitive or problematic? I'm like, no, we just kind of glossed over it and said we're not going to make any, any sort of, we're not going to jump to any sort of conclusions, which is good because the assholes who jumps to conclusions
they were wrong,
way off base.
Yeah, way off base.
We still don't have. We may never actually.
We don't know what the FBI was up to.
Yeah, the Peanut Tillman thing is funny too, because I was thinking about him the other day with I was looking at a DC that was, the DC with the Bears back then, and where he was at now.
Oh, he's his kid is offensive coordinator somewhere.
Yeah, oh, that's the guy I was looking at.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember exactly. Somebody in the chat will put it together.
Okay, was it Dave Canales, the offensive coordinator for Tampa? His dad.
This is how we lose both our bets. The Steelers' incoming defensive. They've had a couple. They are very. It's funny, and we're talking about that Bears team, that very, very ball hawking, opportunistic Bears team of 2010-ish, whenever that era was.
Yeah, Peanut Tillman had a strip fumble.
This is a super
every other week.
Very, very ball hawking team. It's not just like people are hacking at the ball and missing tackles like you see some bleep holes do, which that bothers me. It's like you still have to make the tackle. You can't just be always trying to whack the ball up. But boy, these guys are really, really getting after it. They've had a couple of close calls already today.
All right.
I made a bet on the Bears an offensive player prop on the Bears that cashed to the over.
Nice.
We'll get to that later. I think it might be the only one, guys. The Saints did choke. We'll get to recap. We'll recap Sunday's action once we hit overtime. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on anything else on this one?
2012, Peanut Tillman forced 10 fumbles.
That's so many.
So many fumbles forced. Anything more on this game? Not really. I think it's just kind of in keeping with sort of the state of the NFL right now, which is not very good. This isn't good football. It's entertaining, it's fun. It's NFL. I'll take it. But other than I guess if the Dolphins weren't doing super fun shit right now, the state of the NFL is rough. I don't even know what the lead story is. It's a bunch of teams we thought were good sucked this week.
I don't know. The other lead stories would just be hey, the Niners haven't gotten hurt yet, so they're still very good.
Well, they didn't play yesterday. I mean today.
No, but they played Thursday, and if you're just talking general NFL stories, Buffalo had a hiccup. Maybe they just felt really bad about hurting Rodgers, and maybe let him win that game, and now they're super good again.
9 sacks for them. Let's pivot here let's full on do a welcome to the deep dive. You ready?
Okay. This is going to be a podcast.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the deep dive. Andy, I am back from Croatia. Vacation of a lifetime. I will almost certainly do a residency next summer of a month there. Or maybe not next summer, but in a summer coming up, when there's not an Olympics and not a World Cup, or there's just there's time. I'm gonna do a whole. I was saying that to you too. Thing over there, unbelievably fun trip.
My missus, she worked in surgery for so long, and she was low on the totem pole where she was not allowed to request 2 straight weeks off. You couldn't request a week next to another week you had off. She's finally gotten to a point where she can, and now the kids are a little older, or I'm not feeling so bad about leaving them. And I think a couple weeks and somewhere in Europe is going to be next summer, the summer after. Maybe not next summer if I'm remodeling again, but it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice because pre-kids, you got to take vacations like that and not stress. And now it's going to fucking Myrtle Beach and doing go-karts and mini golf with these children. I need just a beach, a book, and a bunch of booze.
Well, Croatia is an adult vacation. I don't know if kids would have.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want them there at all.
Yeah, you drop them off and then fly there.
This is a March vacation. And grandpa comes in, sends them to school every day, and I'm gone.
The handful of things that I live for, beach going, boating, wine drinking, fooding, hiking, like seeing new places, something different every day, nice people, cheap. Like I could not, I kind of checked every single box for an elite vacation. Yeah, it's going to be tough to come back to real life. But let's talk a little NFL. Week 3 was my best week of the season so far somehow. We did the podcast on Wednesday.
It's funny.
And I said,
you
I have no idea what's happening here.
I spent all kinds of time on it.
I won every side I placed this week somehow. And I did well on totals too. The biggest bets I had were Colts, which closed 7 somehow. Would like to get your opinion on that market close. Got lucky on the Chargers, I guess, because Minnesota probably could have stolen that one.
Get there.
You
had New England -2.5. You got
New England was a good one. Miami, the Miami over was fun. That one was great. Buffalo team total over was fun. My futures portfolio continues to take a bloody beating, though. Micah Parsons gives back some equity on DPOY. All of that got dumped into the Myles Garrett bucket today. The Jags look fucked. No, the Jags look like an incomplete team. The Falcons are all of a sudden going to have a very tough time, I think, winning the NFC South. And yeah, I think I lost a little bit of equity in almost every future that I had today. So that wasn't good.
I had a tough one.
Some totals went really, really solid. Sorry,
I've had Packers to win the North, but I also added some New Orleans to win the South. So it was kind of a tough one for me there today, where it's like, I guess if somebody could tie, I guess this would be okay. But say la vie, it was a good game. Both sides of I ended up with teasers on both sides of that game. So some of those got home. You know what I teased the Green Bay Packers with? I went full non-Wong. It was a -6. It just stuck Miami in there because I needed a leg.
That was good.
I was like over leveraged on the other one, so I said I'm just going to stick Miami in there. And then when Green Bay was down 17-0, I'm like, well, one of these legs is getting home. This sucks. You want to go off the top then?
Yeah, let's go top to bottom. And I didn't watch a minute of Thursday Night Football, so I had no comment.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a much better team. Spending some time on the West Coast obviously doesn't matter when you're down that many players. Like they were just, you lost your whole right side of your line. You lost your starting running back. You had some other pieces out, and the Niners didn't have Ayuk, which would be a really big deal for a lot of teams to lose a 1,000-yard receiver from the last couple of years. And, the beat just goes on with Debo and CMC and Kittle and everybody else. Like the game happened, I guess. That's what you can say about that one. It's not a whole lot to recap in that one.
Yeah. Let's go to Sunday then. The Chargers is the top slot. And again, this felt like a little bit of a lucky win. I was happy that Kellen Moore went past funnel against this team, because like that's recognition that you can do. You can do basic math. Like, well done. Like you can do the bare minimum of how you should game plan for this team. But I kind of feel like with the performance that Herbert had, 40 of 47, shouldn't you have more than 28 points?
Yeah. That was a bit of a problem. Did you see the difference in yardage in this game?
They had like 100 more yards, right?
No, it was exactly.
Oh, they were 475 for. Oh yeah, wow.
When I went and looked at this, I was so sure it was going to be Chargers by like 75 yards, 475 apiece. So the people who chased the steam and the over and got a bad number, maybe that's not recommended to do, but also you probably took a bad one there. There should have been more points. You should have been more than 60 points. I didn't hate Staley going for it on 4th down late. I hated the play call. Like I loved it. End the game there, especially the way Minnesota had looked kind of in the red zone. Like end the game there. That's fine.
Yeah.
But that play call really, really stunk. The Chargers won the game on one of Herbert's worst passes of the day. I mean, he essentially threw it right at a corner who had undercut the route, and the corner couldn't get his hands on it enough. It bounces, you get a touchdown. And then they give Minnesota like 2 more chances at it. Minnesota bottles it. But I guess in my notes for Minnesota, I wrote that it looked better that they were able to run the ball. And then as I was typing that sentence, I'm like, oh, it's the Chargers. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't, I guess that doesn't really excite me at all. No. 2 more turnovers deep in opposition territory. That's like 5 or 6 of them now that have basically been inside the red zone. And it was another, like you said, Kellen Moore, outside of some inefficiencies in certain spots in the game, overall understood the assignment. They're going to blitz me. They have bad corners. We have big receivers. We can beat them on the outside. We should be able to do that. They did. They probably, I can't say like either team deserved the win, man. It was kind of a tough hang at times, honestly, watching that game. They lost Mike Williams. He had a knee brace. He was carted off. That's not great. Derwin James had a hamstring. He missed at the end of the game too. So going forward, those are problems. So they hadn't used Johnston a ton, the rookie. He's going to have to step up now with Williams out. So kind of monitor that Derwin James injury too. That's a big deal.
Yeah, Kenneth Murray Jr. comes away with the game-winning interception, finally makes a play for the first time in his career. And honestly, it looked like he was like just in the wrong place. Like I was like, what? He was just, covering no one, just running around and caught a tipped ball. So good job, Kenneth Murray. All right. The Tennessee offensive line, who we poked fun at on Wednesday.
Periwinkle shit blue or whatever you said. Well, 5 pieces of shit were in periwinkle blue.
They gave up 3.5 sacks to Myles Garrett. He had 3 tackles for a loss. He hit the quarterback 5 times today, Andy. Overall, there were 8 QB hits, 5 sacks on Mr. Tannehill. Do not know how much longer he will last if he is under that type of duress. And that's what you expect when you have, a top tier NFL unit up against a guy, that quality of an opposition. So Deshaun Watson was good today, I guess. I don't know.
He was. I didn't watch a ton of this game. I didn't have action. I didn't have much for expectations. I knew a lot of people had taken the Browns. I understood it. I just didn't add that one to the card. And I was worried that we were going to see a bad offensive performance for the Browns. But Watson was pretty decent. He was actually really efficient. And again, it's like playing Minnesota when I said this about Kellen Moore. Like, they understood the assignment up there in Cleveland. This is the secondary, even getting some pieces back that you should absolutely beat. And this is an offensive line that your defense should be getting pretty aggressive after. And both of those things worked out. Tennessee wasn't able to do, basically jack shit on offense. And Cleveland didn't even need that much from Deshaun Watson. They got, more than enough. And they got there. It was a pretty easy win for them. And now they're sitting at 2-1.
Yeah.
And I think if Pittsburgh wins, that'll be a 3-way tie up top. And honestly, I think Pittsburgh has the tiebreakers. They have a divisional win.
Yeah, that's right. Tennessee, I guess two things to note. This total got bet down aggressively. That was very correct. It was never stiffing 40. And Cleveland got bet, moved off of 3 to 3.5. That was correct. So well done, sharp players. Houston, Jacksonville. Houston was a hot side this week. That closed 7.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Jacksonville has some problems.
I played Jacksonville at the 7. There was a 7 minus 15 that popped up, and I had it like 8. I'm like, I have to play this, I guess. And there were so many injuries to that secondary, and I don't know, hand up on me. I understood that the Jacksonville defense was going to be bad. We all know this. It's not going to be good. But if the special teams and the offense is going to chip into the shittery, then this team's not going to win games. So special teams had a huge gaffe, and the offense was a serious struggle bus for most of the day against a defense that was missing a bunch of pieces. So this is like, I'm sad that I lost a bet, but also like long term, this isn't good for how I feel about this team, how I feel about this coaching staff. I mean, they gave up a return touchdown to a fullback. That was 250-pound fullback. Their first 5 drives were missed field goal, punt, blocked field goal, punt, fumble. Red zone offense was bad. Turnover, stop drives, missed field goals. And just, I wrote, this is all around. This was bad on all 3 phases. It's only supposed to be the defense that's bad. And again, like the offensive line might be holding them back a little as well.
I think the defense is like, they're not bad, but they can't rush. They can't generate a pass rush. CJ Stroud behind an absolute makeshift offensive line dropped back 30 times and barely had a sweat. I don't even know if he got hit. The Texans finally figured out Tank Dell is their wide receiver 1.
Good.
Jacksonville doesn't really look like they know exactly how they want to use their weapons. They're also still like a little bit too sloppy. And, anytime they're losing the turnover battle, you're putting even more pressure on that defense. So it was sloppy. I felt like sloppy was the best word to use for the Jags in this one. And, if they were looking past Houston a little bit, thinking about their road trip to Atlanta, then that would kind of explain some of the lackluster performance today.
And by Atlanta, you mean?
I'm in London to play Atlanta.
London,
England to play Atlanta.
That's the thing. At least they don't have to think about this game on a 10-hour flight now. And Houston, credit to, like you said, this was one of my main takeaways on Houston was the 3 starting wide receivers they had listed on their chart might not be better than the 3 guys behind him. It's not just like, hey, there's one rookie or one young guy that might be good. It's like all of them, like Dell and Hutchinson and Mechie, like get those guys in there. It doesn't have to be, we're going to start them over, known quantities, but they need to, I kept making case. They need to make sure they get snaps and see what they have in these guys in real games experience. It's not like they're, going to win the Super Bowl this year. Why not see what you have with all these young receivers that you liked so much that you drafted them? And hopefully we see more of Dell and, the other 2 as well.
Yep. Not a lot to say about Jets, Pats. Pat's defense bounces back, does great work against Jets team that it was overmatched. I kind of can't believe it came down to a Hail Mary stop, but so be it.
It was close. Yeah. This was
2
another
really
one
bad offenses. Oof.
This was one that was in the path of Ophelia. So between that, the 2 good defenses and the fact that Zach Wilson was playing no appetite for anything but under money. I think I set 35s at one point.
Yeah. Wow.
There was definitely 35.5s on the board this morning. That was, that was justified. Like I said, I logged in to a couple places where I like to bet team totals at, and I was expecting to see like a 16.5 juice to the under, and it was a 17 minus 120 or 125. Wow, we can add this to the card for sure. And I guess I didn't really have to sweat it, but that was one too. Like you're never out of the woods when it's only 3 scores that needs to beat you. So those are fun sweats. I mean, to be fair, I didn't sweat it. It was the Jets, and really the Patriots looked better than the score indicates as well.
Yeah,
they played a really decent game, and once they went into, I guess this is gonna be the theme for the day. Understanding the assignment, like once they got up by a touchdown, they realized like, okay, now it's garbage time. We saw a lot of running. We saw a lot of Baker, Andre. They really slowed the game down and just tried to get to that finish line by grinding it out. They did not stay aggressive after that when they didn't need to. And that's a good point by Jay. The Patriots, not one single play was run in the red zone. They had one long touchdown.
That's great, yeah.
And I guess the wind wasn't as bad as we thought because there were some longer field goals. This was supposed to be the
51 yarder, yeah.
I did play a prop on this one. Neither team it was like first team to reach 20 and has the neither. And I thought that was juiced, or that was priced a little improperly. It was like 180, 185. Like, well, we can play this. So that's what I was sweating more than anything. I was happy to see the Patriots kind of put the brakes on.
Yeah. That's a good one. The post-game presser from Saleh says Zach Wilson gives us the best chance to win. Is he being sincere and that they don't have any other options, or is this the dreaded vote of confidence?
This might be the dreaded vote of confidence. So that was Jimmy just throwing up an absolute god awful ball. It's just coach speak. I mean, these coaches lie all the time. This is like Josh is our guy. The Josh is our guy meme for Josh Rosen. Like, they're for sure they're making calls. Because it's one thing to, and this is something I failed to recognize when I made the case of just stick with Zach. Don't waste your time with like bringing in a 40-year-old Matt Ryan or something. It's not going to change your outcome that much.
Yeah.
The thing I failed to identify in that, and that's on me, is how bad this has to be mentally for the other stars. And you're seeing it. Wilson is not happy. Brees is not happy. The defense is not happy. Like, there is something to at least staying competitive in games that keeps the rest of the team happy. I don't know what they're going to do, man. I don't want to speculate because it's not like there's good answers out there.
Well, I just hope they keep scoring 10 points a week. Yeah. A trade for Kirk. That's not crazy.
No, it's Minnesota's 0-3, and
that's not crazy.
He's in the last year of a contract too. Like, that's why it makes sense. But at this point, who knows?
I hadn't heard that floated. Biggest comeback of the day was the Green Bay Packers, who were losing 17-0 going into the fourth quarter and won 18-17. Matt LaFleur made a great decision to go for it for two, down 14 points, scoring a touchdown. He went for two, made it a 6-point gap, which means another touchdown gave him the game-winning extra point try. They make it, and then New Orleans misses a makeable game-winning field goal. Green Bay kneels it out, and that's history. Seems like Derek Carr is probably going to miss a couple weeks. What's your read?
Yeah, this was one I was stressing, that 2-point conversion. Like I said, I teased Green Bay once it got out to 1.5 on the news.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, oh no. I have them at plus 7.5. They missed this. It turned out they won the game anyway. But I had teasers earlier in the week with New Orleans, and I had teasers on Sunday morning with Green Bay. Everything cashes. Obviously, it is. We can joke all we want. It is a step down to Jameis, not only just in what he brings, but he was not the guy preparing with the ones all through camp. A little more familiar as he's been here for a while, but you saw what you got with him. Olave was good in the first half for sure, with Jair Alexander missing. That's going to be a problem with Green Bay. Somebody in the Deep Dive DGens had a theory, and if this is true, the fact that Green Bay won this game is just such an absolute coup, where they said, hey, these guys are close, but at this Thursday game coming up, they just said, fuck it, rest them all. They're all ready for Thursday. We're coming in a division game on Thursday Night Football, and we're going to have Adams. We're going to have Aaron Jones. We're going to have, Bakhtiari. We're going to have Jenkins. We're going to have Jair Alexander. Everyone's going to be healthy. Everyone's going to play Thursday, instead of throwing him in here at 80% on a non-divisional game like this that maybe we think we can win anyway. And you got a little lucky with Carr. The AC joint sounds like he's out for maybe a few weeks, maybe more.
Yeah, I'd say 4.
It's so maybe a little bit of a lucky win that you were able to play a backup quarterback in the second half. But they looked good in the second half as well. Watson's the other one I'd missed. I knew I was missing an offensive player. If they have everybody back, this could be a pretty decent team for sure. So I don't know. Carr. It sucks for the Saints because this defense is really playing well, and Carr was playing at a decent enough level and not giving games away where they could have totally won this division. And the sad part is they probably can still win this division. Atlanta lost, Carolina lost, Tampa is a 6-point dog. They probably go into Tampa next week with a chance, or home versus Tampa next week with a chance to take the lead in this division anyway with Jameis fucking Winston.
Denver, Miami, first 70 burger in the NFL going back to 1966 when the Redskins hung 72 on the Giants. Andy, we got a scoregami 70-20. Never happened before.
70-20.
never been a 70-20.
Which if you're the opposing team and you can put yourself in their situation where they're at in their franchise rebuild and whatnot, who do you feel worse about being? The Bears after 41-10, Denver 70-20, or Washington 37-3, which is the most demoralizing loss.
You feel the best about the Broncos, I think, because at least you're like, this is rock bottom, and I know it. I don't know that you know where rock bottom is if you're the Bears.
I went both. I had a Shane on my bench in fantasy too. I started Kendra Miller instead. I felt real good about that. No, the thing, I went both ways on this. It's like, well, they scored 20 points. They know where they stand now. They know this defense isn't good, but at the same time, they are paying a quarterback and a head coach a shitload of money to give up 70, like to lose by 50. It was, and yeah, this defense we expected some regression, but I did not expect this defense to be this poor this year. No. This is truly rough.
Also worth noting the Bears, the Broncos, they were in a horrible situational spot with 2 altitude games and then going to playing in the humidity.
Yeah, you made that comment on the Wednesday pod. You said blind bet Dolphins in the second half. The Dolphins won the second half 35-7.
Ooh.
I did not do the research through. I didn't go look up what the second half line was. But if it were less than 28.5, you at least got to push.
It's weird how infrequently 70 is scored considering it's a multiple of 10.
Yes. 10 touchdowns.
All right, real. I asked our prop, what do you call it, award originator friend Jay this question, and I'll ask you too. If you could have one ticket on McDaniel Coach of the Year, Tua MVP, and Tyreek Hill OPOY at the preseason price, which ticket do you want in pocket right now?
McDaniel.
Think he's the most likely to actually win.
Yeah. He's viewed as the architect, and there's just zero chance he gets injured.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the Tyreek number wasn't that big, and
wasn't it? Wasn't it like 12 or 15?
It was like 10 or 12, I think.
Oh, okay.
Jesus, yeah, our Raiders are looking pretty rough here.
Yeah, this is a bad drive for the Raiders defense. They look like they were like upset that Jimmy G threw that.
I don't know. I don't know that Tyreek gets an award. He is not that. He's right there with Justin Jefferson, and so there's some other guys with some big numbers this year, and it feels like that they split these up. And if you give Coach an MVP, Tyreek might get some second fiddle votes, although it's hard to give to Justin Jefferson if it's like a 3-14 team. Where does that leave us in the game?
I didn't have anything else on Miami, Denver. Buffalo, Washington. The interesting.
I did have one more Miami thing. How many points do you think they score if Waddle's in? Do you remember there was actually under steam for a little bit when Waddle was announced out? It got down from like 48.5 to 47.5.
Yeah.
It did not happen.
No. I felt stupid. I got the worst of the number here. I think I actually bet 48.5 in that game.
I looked at it all week, didn't add it. I felt like an asshole after like the first quarter. I'm like, oh, I waited for the bad number.
Oh, oops.
Or waited for a better number, and I forgot to add it.
Okay. Buffalo, Washington was a weird market. Washington got bet to 4.5.
A lot of Washington money came in. There was some belief in their offense. Oof.
The Buffalo Bills defense was the standout unit of the day. Andy, would you believe they had 9 sacks and 4 picks? Am I reading my numbers right?
One of them for a touchdown. The pass rush that we thought we'd see something from in this game, we didn't. We got very little from up front from Washington.
Yeah.
And Buffalo's front seven, and I mean the entire coverage unit as well. Like everybody looked good. I don't know if some of that was just Howell, but I mean they pressured him, they hit him, they sacked him, they picked him. They didn't do much. I mean, essentially they pitched a freaking shutout. It was a goddamn thrashing. This total got steamed down because of the weather as well, but once it turned out that wasn't really the case, it came back up a little on game day. Probably deserved a little better fate to the over. If Washington had 2 drives that were, like inside the 5 that ended with no points.
Yeah.
So kind of a weird game state for most of it. I will give some kudos to Buffalo for the second straight week. We said, hey, you put this game plan together for, Las Vegas to just dink and dunk on them and just destroy them. You rip their hearts out up and down the field. Like it worked spades. They went a little deeper this week. They attacked the secondary. The average depth of target was up. Some of the play calling was a little more intermediate. And I mean, it was another one where it's just like, oh, you knew what you were doing heading in, and it worked really well all day. Never sweat.
Speaking of never sweating, Josh Allen, 1 QB hit on him, and it was Montez Sweat. That's not good. 1 hit and 0 sacks. Not good. Washington also lost a fumble, so they had 5 turnovers and they conceded 9 sacks. Just a bad day at the office for Sam Howell. Go get him next week, champ. The Buffalo Bills might be a sleeping giant. We'll get to them later. Atlanta, Detroit, 20-6. No comment. Atlanta sucks. Their offense sucks. If they're not playing with the lead, you can pretty much put a bow in them. I don't know what you put a stake through them. This is not a team that I am ever comfortable in comeback mode.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're almost like a live game state kind of bad. If they're leading, they're a very good team because they have 9 different guys they can run with much effectiveness. But when they're in comeback mode, and people have found out they're not that great at protecting a quarterback who's not that good of a quarterback. And if you're able to pressure him, he was sacked 7 times. If you're able to get after him and kind of take away some of the things that this team does effectively on the ground, you can really limit this offense. And if you really limit this offense, you don't even need a big Detroit Lions performance. They only scored 20 points today. They ran the ball. We finally got to see a bunch of Jahmyr Gibbs. He ran the ball 17 times. He had a couple targets in the air as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown looked fine, I guess. I don't know if anyone has a differing opinion on that. I didn't watch all of this game, but from the box score and what I did catch, I think that toe looks fine. They're a good team still. They just have a really shitty defense.
Yeah, the saying I couldn't come up with because my brain is not working was stick a fork in them. But somebody brought it up. Lee Bruce. Atlanta did come back against Green Bay. So I guess
a lot of that was just. I mean, we talked about that last week. It was just Green Bay didn't have Aaron Jones.
Dumb shit too.
Yeah. Well, they couldn't convert a third down for the life of them.
So 2 things I want to say about the Falcons. One thing's going to be positive. Nice job putting together this defense. Seriously. They needed to force punts in the second half, and they did it. The second thing is what were we thinking about putting Ritter in charge of this thing? Like, what was the vision there? Let's just roll the dice and hope like literally, like we don't know what we've got. We got to roll the dice and see.
Yeah,
it's
time. It's probably time to. Heineke isn't the guy, though. I don't know. I think they kind of made their bed.
Okay.
Trade for Zach Wilson. Tank. Draft Caleb. I don't know.
Yeah,
Stan's pointing out too, and I brought this up.
Really
like they're not good at protecting Ritter, and Ritter's not good, and then Ritter's even worse under pressure. So
it's kind of a bad combination. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing to say about Indy Baltimore other than the market was very strong in support of Indy. Baltimore I think people kind of get it now. They're overrated. People kind of get it now that with some of these injuries they're dealing with.
Yeah, I thought most of the move was
injuries.
Was on the injuries. Like
I
think fully healthy, it's a decent enough team, and they've done some nice things to make this offense good, but they've continued to have so many injuries. Like Gus, another running back. That's the third running back now they've lost. Bateman hamstring. OBJ was hurt last year. They had multiple players missing again. Really thought that safety was going to catch teaser legs with them anyway. But yeah, the defense let up against a backup quarterback and lost it in overtime.
Yeah, and I think
there was a bad no call in the overtime.
Boy, was there ever. Yeah, boy, was there.
Indy can win this division, though.
Was it Zay Flowers? He's a rookie. He's not getting that call. I'm joking. It was a bad call. It was a bad no call, I guess. And I think, Indy deserved to cover through and through, but I don't think they deserved to win. I'll have to revisit that a little bit, though. Didn't watch a minute of Carolina Seattle. Seemed like a sad game. Every time I thought about watching it.
I had Carolina, and
you did?
A lot of it. Well, and
some of it was with you.
Yeah, it was predicated on some injury stuff and the way I thought this defense for Seattle would play. And the more I looked at it, with the injuries to Thompson, and you had the other injuries. Well, I mean, there were several more today, but missing a couple pieces for the Carolina defense. I guess I'm surprised there wasn't more action to this over, because both defenses were beat up, and maybe people just didn't believe in Andy Dalton. But I mean, if you'd have told me I got 27 points out of Andy Dalton, I would have put more money on +5. And I know one of those touchdowns was late and sort of meaningless, but if you said I got 27 points, I would not have expected Gino to put up that many, and I would have put more money on the 5.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Also, by the way, that Carolina is now all of a sudden an over team with Andy Dalton under center, and with some of the injuries to the depth and starting secondary now, and no real ability to pass rush. Like, teams are going to score on Carolina.
So they were missing pieces, and then I don't know if somebody has an update on Luvu. He's important. Mingo got dinged up too. There was, I think they had 3 or 4 decent injuries as well today. So they're another one where it's like, oh, you're even more beat up now, and you weren't a good team. You're 0-3 at this point. Let's see injuries. Mingo was a concussion. They lost Xavier Woods with a hamstring before half. CJ Henderson, the corner, had an ankle injury. So, I mean, just more injuries to this defense. So, if Andy Dalton continues to sling it, because he's not bad, it is an over team.
Yeah. Dallas no-showed. Arizona is well coached. No other comments there.
Which game?
Dallas, Arizona.
Not sure what happened with Dallas's offense. Like, I understand that they were missing some, offensive linemen, and that sucks. But the play calling was very conservative and shitty. And Dobbs is good. Like, Dobbs, we saw it in preseason, and I joked, like, this guy should start game 1 when they traded for him. And then they decided that was what they were going to do. And he's been very good with his legs as well.
Yep. Chicago, man. What a sad state of affairs.
Like, they are not only, the offense has been such a talking point with the lack of creativity and lack of good play calling, but this defense is now down like 4 or 5 secondary pieces.
Yeah.
That's not where you want to be when you have Kelsey and Mahomes out there.
No.
Like,
that was such a
fucking picked apart.
Yeah. That was such a rough no contest between the Chiefs and the Bears. They really just needed something else to kind of give that game some life, and some kind of pop culture story or something to make that game interesting, because that was a real rough hang otherwise. Speaking of rough hang, Jimmy G down again.
Yeah, that was another one. I had the Bears team total under. I didn't understand how they were going to move the ball. against an actual decent defense. And then we got to garbage time. I got worried because suddenly we had Gabbert throwing interceptions on his side of the field. I'm like, oh, that's how it happens. They still only got to 10. Yep, and smiling faces says the go Blackhawks. It's that time of year. Go Connor Bedard.
Okay, so
Justin Fields got bet down to 20-1 to win MVP, guys. Remember that next time you see a lot of steam in the market in the offseason, guys.
It was short at some place, shorter than that someplace.
Yeah.
Do you think he finishes the season as the Bears starter?
Someone had a good point, and this was a Bears account, but he said if they so he shouldn't have been back in that game, by the way. Did anyone see after he got hit? He went Bambi legs a little into a ref, and another play, like the running back kind of grabbed him and put him off to the sideline. Like, you're not all right. They put him back in the game after that, even though they were down by like 38. Like, it's one thing. It's like, oh shit, this is our star quarterback. We're down by 1 point. We need this touchdown. They were down by 6 scores. Yeah. And he was, DJ Moore pulled him aside. Like, I was really not happy with that because, not only is like the wrong thing to do to a human is like, hey, I don't give a fuck.
Just play until he dies.
Hurt. But also, like, he's a young quarterback and that you hope you can turn into something. Like, for your team, this isn't a game where you need him to, like, continue to get his bell rung. Yeah. So he might be in the concussion protocol for all we know. And a good point made, and my last point in this game was somebody said, if he's missing time, do not need to see Nathan Peterman in any games. We don't need a journeyman quarterback. He's the backup. So that Bajette,
I thought they cut him at one point.
He's been back. He's back. He's the backup. So they said they should start. He said start this Nate Bajette or whatever. Just see what you have there. I'm like, that's the move.
All right. Well, I played a little Eagles. I don't have much else to say. We talked about it a bit. I think the pass rush.
I played that today.
The pass rush.
I played it midweek, and I put some more on it today.
I have no read on whether or not Burrow plays, but I think if he plays, he's going to suck because his mechanics look fucked.
I guess I still have a Rams +6 from last Sunday.
Oh, that was a good bet by you. You want to talk about the game of the week next week? Denver at Chicago.
This is funny. Has a team ever lost by 50 and then been a road favorite the next week?
Oh, I doubt it.
That feels like a hard doubt.
I doubt it.
Like the doubt meme.
That's like as a 2-0 team ever been a home dog with a touchdown, type of thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's go through a couple of these points. Atlanta, Jacksonville. I would expect Jacksonville gets bet on a bounce back. Miami, Buffalo is the game of the week. I like Bills.
Oh, it sucks. It's a noon game.
I know it. That's okay. I'll watch it anyway.
Yes.
We get Zach Wilson in primetime, Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it'll be Flacco or something. Who knows?
There was a flip favorite on the look ahead between Baltimore, Cleveland. You got a good performance out of Cleveland, and Baltimore continues to disappoint and be injured. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Watch the injuries in those games, though.
I'm going to save this for Wednesday. But the fact that the look ahead flipped from 3.5 in Buffalo to 2.5 because the Broncos no-showed, and because and in spite of the fact that the Bills defense looks very, very good and can maybe stop Miami, like that's a pretty good sign to me to buy Buffalo. But I don't think it's going to be my play of the week or anything.
That look ahead was 49.5. That's up to 54 much across the board.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, both offenses look so good at times. That absolutely checks out.
I have higher confidence in Buffalo getting to 30 in that game.
The Atlanta-Jacksonville look ahead was 45.5. That's down a couple points. That absolutely makes sense and checks out. Although this is probably a spot where Atlanta can find some success against not a true road game. We'll see what the travel looks like for them. As long as they don't bungle the travel, like it's probably a plus spot for their rushing offense against a bad Jacksonville defense.
Okay.
I don't know what to do with totals in international games. I was going to say there was one other total move that Maybe that Baltimore-Cleveland one, maybe that went down as well.
That had to go down, right?
That was 45 and 44 and a half. It's down to
shit,
42, 41 and a half.
Yeah, that's fair.
That checks out.
Yeah. Cleveland is a 2.5 point favorite is a little bit of an aggressive move. That was expected to be Balto road chalk.
It was Baltimore minus 1.5 is what I had jotted down for look ahead.
Yeah.
So the fact that I crossed 0 and got up to 2.5 pretty quick.
Interesting. A lot of games where we don't have real markets because there's 2 fucking Monday Night Football games now. Is this a thing all season?
On Mondays to like get all the information.
Is this like a thing all season?
No. This is the last week of it, but it makes you realize like, hey, there's 4 games this week where I don't have information yet. 6 if we count the the game from tonight still going on. So it's a real pain in my dick to update these numbers when we have this. I will say there was one other move. The Cardinals were 14.5 on the look ahead. That is all the way down to 14. Getting some respect as they head up to the Bay Area.
Well, I think now the Cardinals got their hard-fought win. They're going to exhale a little bit. So
I wonder if this is like a shitty letdown, and they truly look bad against an actual juggernaut that's not injured.
We got a good one in New England, Dallas. That's exciting. I'm excited to see that one. I think.
Yeah, hopefully Dallas has some good injury news to make that game actually good.
Yeah,
that was a big part of why Arizona did have as much success. Dallas came in not in the greatest shape on the offensive line, and losing Diggs is obviously a big piece.
Yep.
What was the other one? I want to see what the Minnesota Carolina. It was 3-3, but that total has been bet up from 44 to 45.
Hair.
I wonder if this is the Andy Dalton just shreds this Minnesota defense at home.
He did great when he was a Saint last year against Minnesota's personnel. Obviously, different scheme.
Yeah, I'm tempted to play a Carolina over now that I've fully incepted myself into that.
Yeah.
And if I find a 44.5, I'm gonna sting it, and if not, I'm probably just gonna play the 45.
The Kansas City Chiefs are 9.5 point favorites on Sunday Night Football in the Meadowlands. Can Zach Wilson repeat the primetime magic that we saw on Monday Night Football week 1?
All right, I found a 44.5. I did make one bet today. I'm going to make Minnesota Vikings over Carolina Panthers over 44.5.
Nice.
And pray that Bryce is still hurt, because I don't think it's as good of a bet with him in.
I agree. Okay, that sounds good, man. Good job. I'm absolutely
go get some sleep. You look like you're about to fall.
I'm at death's door. Yeah, no question. I'll talk to you on Wednesday and tomorrow night. We'll just go to the night game.
Which one do you want to do there? We did the early. It sucks because I think fewer people watched because it was just like, well, there's another game on. Like at halftime, I'm not bored. I'm gonna go watch the other game. So it doesn't matter. But whichever game you think is better, we can do. We did the early one last week.
Let's do the Rams Bengals just because it would be good to comment on what we're seeing out of Burrow.
Okay, or not, or Browning.
I guess so. Yeah,
might be Jake Browning. So
I think I think the market thinks Burrow's going to go, but they want to bet against him.
There was
my opinion.
The owner was down there talking to him the other day.
Burrow?
The owner of the team. Yeah, Brown.
Mike Brown and Burrow were having a little powwow.
They were having like a conversation. I think it's like the Herbert situation where he wants to play and they have to talk him out of it. But we saw how that went with Herbert. So honestly, worse than Browning might be Burrow forcing his way out of the field.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
all right,
catch you guys tomorrow night.
Best luck.
Teams losing by 50 and then being road favorites the next week.